discussion a little bit into social media and Egypt, because Alexis, no story in recent history tells us more about this convergence of ideas, politics, social media than the Egyptian revolution. You were there recently.
Indeed.
You've seen some interesting things. Give us a taste.
Well, so I was very lucky to have been there for about a week, speaking and lecturing at a conference on startups, on tech entrepreneurship there. And I met with a couple dozen Egyptian entrepreneurs there in Cairo. And I actually spent more time there at the conference in the Marriott than I actually got to see Cairo. But that said, met people who were themselves like genuine revolutionaries. Here I was, a guest in their country, and they were swept up in a revolution of their country, and at the same time were trying to build their own entrepreneurial endeavors in tech. And it was fascinating. And so, I saw a lot of Apple products there, and I was particularly inspired by a couple of startups, one of whom had seen within literally 24 hours a tremendous amount of success from an iPhone app, in that they were able to crowdsource traffic throughout Cairo, which is a notorious traffic problem, simply by giving people an app that they could download, rank or sort of rate the traffic on a particular route, and then share it with the masses, and that provided the real-time traffic data that most drivers in Cairo absolutely need.
Well, good news.
Yes.
We've got the developer of that particular app, Mustafa, joining us via Skype. Mustafa, hope you can hear me okay. Welcome to...
I can hear you just fine.
Welcome to the post-show on the stream. Great to have you on the program. I know Ahmed's lived in Cairo. I've visited Cairo 3 or 4 times. One of the biggest issues in Cairo is the absolutely atrocious, choking, asphyxiating traffic. You're making it easier for people. Explain to us how it happens.
Yeah, we actually did a very, very simple application. It's the concept is based on crowdsourcing. Simply, users will come in, they'll be taking the road. It's based on a very simple insight. People used to tell each other what the traffic was like moving from spot to spot. So instead of people sharing that information with just family and friends, we decided to give them a tool to allow them to share that information with a much wider audience. And the application simply works by looking at one road, you update the status, you say what's happening, other people come in, take a look, see what's happening on the road, and they can know which roads to avoid and which ones to take. It's that simple.
Mustafa, if I can, I have the website open. And at the top, I just wanted to also comment a bit on the design. I know it's a very simple application, but for those who are not so familiar with Arabic, it says, حتعرف تروح فين وتيجي منين, which means you know how to get somewhere and where you're coming from, but you're using this new evolved language where you're having the 7 and the 3, these numeric numbers which indicate certain letters in Arabic. What is the thinking behind that? Because it seems to be extensively throughout the entire site being used.
Right. This is mainly targeted towards, the application was built in a way that speaks the language of the youth. It's very up to date in terms of how people chat. It's actually based on when current Egyptians chat online or they send each other texts, in order to express things in Arabic that you don't have English letters for, they transliterate and they write in this type of language. So we just wanted to make it sound very similar to how you'd be speaking if you're speaking to your friends. And that was the concept. That was the concept behind using that kind of language.
Mustafa, what's the plan from here on in? Do you want to grow it? Do you want to refine it?
Well, actually, we want to do both. Ideally, we want to start going to markets that are very similar to us, because the problem isn't only in Egypt. The problem is across most countries that are very similar to Egypt, or very similar to Cairo. Very big cities with very huge traffic problems, but you don't have the traffic information you would see in places like Europe or the States, where you get online data and GPS information and CCTV cameras with helicopters. We want this solution to be everywhere, and that's what we really want to do. On the other hand, we want to develop the product, make it even more useful to the users as is. We have a few streams that we're working on in doing that right now as well.
Alexis, earlier we were talking about the state trying to smuggle itself into what people are already saying and doing in terms of social networking to find trends and monitor trends, etc. Here it's interesting what Mustafa is saying is that with this app you bypass the state completely, because usually in other countries, in other industrialized countries, there's a long process in getting the CCTV cameras,
Right.
the forecasters, the traffic men, all these people getting together, trying to give you this information regarding the traffic. This has, taken a huge leap ahead of all of them. Is one of the great examples of how social media can be used for good?
I think this is exactly how social media is very, very powerful. You're taking the power of the people rather than trying to brute force it yourself. And I think that's a concept that can be applied in tons of industries, not just traffic information, if we were to call that in one of those industries.
Alexis?
Yeah, bypassing the state is always a good idea. I say this even as an American. What's exciting is it's this sort of leapfrogging of technology that we see. If you look all throughout the developing world, you'll be very hard to find, say, telephone lines like you would. Taking a cross-country trip in the U.S., you can't help but see telephone lines all over the road. But it doesn't make any sense to put up telephone lines when you can just put up a cell phone tower. And so this leapfrogging of technology has made it possible for so many countries to just avoid the nuisance and the cost of telephone lines and have put up cell towers. This same kind of leapfrogging model, I hope, can also be applied plenty of areas where the internet and the fact that every one of us now carries a mobile device that's connected to a much larger network can help us all communicate for the greater good.
Mustafa, given the political environment now in Egypt, the revolution, I guess, is by no means complete, but the old regime is gone. Do you find that there's a better environment for you to operate in at this moment in time?
Actually, in terms of the environment we're operating in, the telecommunication industry has always been one of the good industries in terms of we're actually getting some support from the government in terms of after we had been in a competition and we had won, so they're giving us some office space and that kind of thing. But in the reality of it, no, you don't get any extra thing from what's happening. In fact, there's always the worry of having someone from the Minister of Interior come in and say we want to shut this down, or having it be called a security threat, or any of that kind of thing. That you don't know what's ever going to happen. But hopefully we're in a new Egypt now, and that kind of thing won't happen.
Well, clearly there's maybe just the entrepreneurial spirit that has resulted after this, huge change politically and socially. One thing for me, when I was in Cairo, I think it was over 15 years ago, we already had cell phones. I mean, to highlight Alex's point about, not having telephone lines, and I remember people used to text message even back then when there would be traffic. This seems a lot more effective, and I'm really impressed that you used this weird English-Arabic letter thing that is, I think, changing the way young Arabs are communicating today. It's the first website I've seen that it completely relies on that.
I think we're one of the first to do that.
And a very effective way to start building a brand right now, because it makes you different and it makes you more authentic.
It's actually one of the things we love the most is we get so many feedback. I mean, we get tons of emails with people thanking us for the service. They really love the brand. They're saying it's a lifesaver, and that's gratifying in and of itself. I think it's a really nice thing to have done.
Okay, Mustafa, thanks for taking the time to talk to us. It's an
you
interesting app, and I hope your app leads to far less congestion on the roads of Cairo in particular.
I hope so. It's a tough one though, but I hope so.
That's Mustafa joining us there. Alexis, thanks a lot for joining us. Good to hear your thoughts on a wide range of issues. I hope to see you on the infamous orange couch again sometime.
Thank you.
In the not too distant future. Ahmed, see you tomorrow.
Yes,
Partner in
sir.
crime. Stay out of trouble. Come on time to work tomorrow.
What are you insinuating?
Thanks for watching us. We hope you tune in tomorrow. And of course, if you really love us, you can watch a repeat of this stream.aljazeera.com. It will be posted in a couple of hours' time.